The terrible story of a young woman whose life was taken in a horrifying act of violence is revealed in today's film. Let we begin. Jessica Callaher, age 27, resided in Austin, Texas. She worked two jobs, pursuing her graduate studies and was constantly occupied with family and friends. Following graduation from Texas State, she was employed at the local university, supermarket, and as a temporary instructor. However, she quickly desired a full-time employment in a primary school. She was also saving funds for her master's degree as well as to settle her student loans. Jessica was under pressure and had a lot of work to do. A great deal of stress, but she kept seeing the positive aspect and was certain that would not be in this state for very long, friend. Jessica wrote once about one of hers. Everything will make sense one day. Keep persuading yourself that everything occurs for a cause to smile and chuckle at the mayhem, following a hectic day through the tears. Jessica was content, focused, and enjoyable. She had many things to look at. Looking ahead before we go, make sure that. For more, click the like or subscribe buttons. In-depth true crime content, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss an update. It's always interesting to see how far these stories travel. So feel free to drop a comment letting me know where you're watching from. Now back to the story. On September 7th, 2009, Labor Day, Jessica spent the day with Melanie, her cousin and best friend, and a few other people. The group was having a nice BBQ and swimming in the pool because it was so hot outside after a few hours by the pool. Everyone went to a diner because she had to drive everyone home. Work the next day and save money. Jessica didn't want to drink more than a couple. It got dark, so the group went to a bar to play pool. The group got out of the bar just after midnight, and Jessica began driving everyone home. Melanie was the last person in the car at 1:30 a.m. and asked Jessica if she wanted to stay at her house for the night. Jessica said no because she wanted to make sure she was ready for her shift. When she woke up on the way home, she had to get her dogs food and check on them. Anyway, she said goodbye to Melanie with a hug and went to the nearby Walmart. After a few hours, Melanie's phone rang while everyone else was getting ready for work. Someone from Jessica's work called. Jessica didn't show up at first. This worried Melanie right away because she never missed work or even called in sick, though Melanie called a few more people. Everyone said they hadn't heard from her. She knew in her heart that something was wrong. John, Melanie's brother, and Jessica lived together, but John was also shocked to hear this. John was a police cop and his shift began at 5:30 a.m. He could not see or hear her in the flat, so he thought she was asleep, and they had just not run into each other. When he got home, one of her dogs greeted him right away. The dog was a little upset that she wasn't there, and it looked like she hadn't been home since the day before. John told his coworkers that she wasn't there. When he called them right away, he got them to track her phone, and it beeped near the Cedar Park crossing of US Highway 183 and Walton, way far from being alone. It wasn't. There were a lot of companies, and at this time of day, a lot of cars and people. It's possible that she had lost her temper and her phone had died. Melanie and Sergey, her boyfriend, sped over and saw her white Kia right away. It was parked in a neat row outside of Little Caesars. As soon as they got out of her car, they could smell something awful. It was still very hot, even though the windows were rolled up because it was 90 degrees outside. Inside, Jessica was slouched in the driver's seat, which was positioned much farther back than it should have been. She wasn't moving, and they could see what looked like poop all over the car. Her car door was open, and the smell hit them even stronger. As soon as they did, Melanie tried to wake up Jessica by touching her on the head, but she didn't move. The sun had burned her skin red, left marks all over her body, and made her hair wet with sweat. Sir called the police. Hello. 911. Please, I need emergency to Walmart. 1431183. My friend is in her car and I don't know, I think she passed. Out, she totally ran. Right. Someone had killed Jessica Callaher. It looked like someone had tied her up across the neck, and there were small cuts on her eyes, face, and neck. She also had bruises and scratches all over her body. She had been raped and choked twice. Once with a piece of cloth, maybe the tie, on her dress, which she was wearing over her bathing suit, and again by someone's hands. There were cuts on her neck from her own nails that showed she had clawed back to try to fight off her killer. People stole her wallet, cards, and car keys, but they did take her phone to look at it. Police began their search in the nearby shops and restaurants because this area was very busy and open to the public when the worker got to work early. That morning, she saw Jessica still living. She was naked and crawling around in her car as if she were trying to put on her bathing suit. Soon after, she saw her again. This time, she was sitting outside her car playing with her hair, and she was wearing her white dress. She was still in the car talking to herself and making strange hand movements. The third and last time she saw her, another couple of people who saw Jessica said she seemed confused and tired even. Though no one had talked to her, she seemed to be acting in a very strange and unpredictable way. She was dead. Next time anyone saw her, Melanie told her that she hadn't worked out or done drugs before she left. Once the toxicology test results came back, they showed that she had no drugs, booze, or medicine in her system at all. Not only were things getting stranger and more difficult, but they also needed to find out why she was acting so strangely. A big bag of dog food was in the back of her car. Melanie told the cops she was going to get some, so they knew it had been bought that morning. There was a Walmart open 24 hours a day right across the street from her car. Sure enough, Jessica was caught on camera pulling into the Walmart at 2:30. She went into the store by herself wearing a red baseball cap and a white dress she wore. Her bag over her shoulder. Inside, Jessica was walking around just fine. She wasn't acting crazy, and she wasn't tripping or having trouble either. No one stopped to talk to her, and it looked like no one was looking at her. Before leaving the store, she went straight to the dog food and then to the cash register. When she left, someone worked by the doors and watched her. But this is where things changed. Up until now, no one inside had been following her. Suddenly, a tall man in a brown shirt and baseball cap looked like he was right behind her. He had just been in Walmart a few minutes before Jessica got there. He parked his small truck a long way from her car. He went to the bathroom inside, and Jessica was right there in front of him with the big bag of dog food on her shoulder. When he left, while Jessica went back outside to her, Kaya, the man who was still following her, was getting faster. He was now about 20 seconds behind her. Her car was parked right behind a big tree, which made it impossible for the cameras to see it. The only other camera that did see it was also very bad quality. His truck stayed in its parking spot, though, so it was clear that the man had walked right up to her car. He didn't come out or come back into view again after 2 minutes of getting to her car with the car pulled out and went toward the exits. The video was very upsetting. There were cameras inside Walmart that could see Jessica's car when it was stopped outside of Little Caesars. Music. They watched as the person who got out crossed the street and went into the Walmart parking lot. Music. They knew it was the same man because he got back into his truck right away and drove off at 5:30, 20 minutes after she left her car. Outside of Little Caesars, the same man from Walmart used her bank card at an Exxon gas station. Even though Jessica didn't get out of her car until it was found at 2:50 a.m., it stayed there until she was found, since some workers saw her She must have been alive for a few hours. It didn't make sense at all, police. Showed some of the tapes and told people to be on the lookout for the red pickup. Truck the cops were still looking for. People, so all they could do was wait for someone to phone in. Jessica's funeral was held. Her family said that they found out for the first time that she had been choked because they could see the marks on her neck. This made a day that was already very bad even worse. Who did this to her and why? To their surprise, a woman named Leslie called to talk about the truck the man she thought owned the car. Kristen har 37 var bästa vänner med henne. Fiancé Leslie said that Kristen was meant to bring some money to their apartment a few hours before Jessica was found, but he never did. She thought this was strange. She had to talk about how she felt because she couldn't shake the bad mood. I felt like Kristen was family, so it was hard to make that call. A young girl died at the same time. The police checked Leslie's name and found that he had been pulled over 3 weeks before for having an expired license. Police body cams were on at the time so they could see that he was driving the same truck and putting on the same baseball cap. They were sure this was the person they were looking for. The cops came to Kristen's house 5 days after Jessica's body was found to question him. It was clear that he had changed how the truck looked because some parts that were shiny before were now black. Christine didn't seem surprised that they were there, and he told them he knew Jessica. He said that lonely housewifehookups.com helped him set up the meeting with Jessica. They decided to meet at the Walmart between 12:30 a.m. and 1 a.m. on the morning she was killed. After talking on Messenger, Kristen said that he and Jessica left in her car and had sex near a park. He was in her car and might have been one of the last people to see her living, but that didn't make him a killer. He said that the cops didn't say this, but they knew that the tapes showed a very different story the last time Kristen and Jessica saw each other was well after midnight before he got into her car. They didn't talk or even recognize each other when she got to Walmart. Her behavior made it seem like she wasn't there to meet anyone either. She only wanted dog food. That's all. It was clear that they had nothing to do with each other, so his story fell apart. Right away after that, he said she drove him back to Walmart and they talked for a minute. He told her that he was having trouble paying his gas bills, so she gave him her bank card and wrote the PIN number on his hand. When he found out the next day that Jessica had died, he told himself, I was just with this girl and now she's dead. It's not supposed to happen. He changed the look of his truck and threw away her bank card out of fear that someone would think he was involved. Police knew it was a very complicated story because of how sure he was of everything he said. Melanie and her friends said she also didn't say anything about going out with anyone. That night she was also very honest. If she was meeting someone late at night that she didn't know, she would have told everyone where she was going and who. It was both of their computers and phones were carefully checked, and there was never a single conversation between them. Also, Jessica had never been to the website. He said she had. It was clear, though, that he was checking for her name and seeing pictures and reading about her just a few hours after she was found. Dead. Police thought Kristen had followed her outside, forced himself into her car, made her drive to a park, raped and choked her twice, then drove her car back to the parking lot, left her for dead, and stole her card as soon as the police talked about what they saw on the cams. Christine got quiet and asked for a lawyer. The police were sure that this person killed Jessica, but they still couldn't figure out what happened between when he parked her car and when she was found dead. No one else was near her car, and he hadn't come back to her either, even though she didn't hurt herself. She was still living after Kristen left the scene. It was a scene of complete chaos at this point. They didn't have enough proof to charge him with murder, but they did have enough to charge him with perjury, he was. Given a 10-year term in May 2010, after pleading guilty, the murder case against her was still open and the police were going over everything again and again. They finally found something that might help them figure things out. Someone from the Indiana University School of Medicine wrote an interesting piece about people who were strangled and then suffocated hours later from the effects of the strangulation. This kind of death didn't happen, right? A way it could last for hours, this is known as death by choking. That takes two. Long to happen, experts said this was a likely reason for her strange behavior. Outside of her car and the feces inside it as well, the 2 times she had been strangled had hurt her brain so badly that she had no idea what was going on or where she was. She couldn't call for help or use her phone, and because she had been lying in the hot sun for so long, she was getting heat stroke. This made her position completely fatal. You fall asleep first because your brain isn't getting enough oxygenated blood. Forensic medicine doctor, Dr. Bill Smock, said after that you might have a seizure. After at least 15 seconds, your brain cells start to die. At first, you lose control of your bladder, then you lose control of your lower back, our brain stem, which controls our heartbeat, and breathing is the last part of our brain to die, but things like personality and memory are higher up in the brain. It was clear that Kristen had choked her twice, making him think she was dead when she was only unconscious. In May 2013, he was finally charged with capital murder because it was clear that he wanted to kill her, and there was a lot of evidence to support this, he said. He wasn't guilty expert on strangulation. Testified in a Williamson County murder trial today, the doctor testified that he agrees with the medical examiners findings that Jessica Kaler died as a result of strangulation. Crispin Harmel is accused of killing the 27-year-old. Witnesses saw Kaler alive hours after she was strangled in her hot car acting. Strangely, Dr. Bill Smoke says it's because she was attacked. So in this case, I think we have 2 explanations to why Jessica's behavior was abnormal. 1, brain damage from strangulation, and number 2, heat the defense. Cross-examined Dr. Smock using his own testimony, saying if someone was strangled, their reaction would be to dig their nails into the attacker, which would likely collect the attacker's DNA. Under their fingernails, there's no DNA. Linking Kaler and Harmel, there was no DNA proof that linked Christian to Jessica. So the defense thought their case was strong, but since it was so hot that day, it wasn't really a surprise. Extreme heat and humidity can break down DNA much more quickly, so it's not likely that anything would have been found on her. The prosecution wasn't worried because there was so much proof that it was all on tape. This could not have been done by anyone else, the state called Christen's ex-girlfriend Elizabeth. She said he told her that his apartment had burned down and that he had lost his phone in the fire. In reality, his phone had been taken. As part of the probe, he also told her that his truck had broken down, but this, too, had been taken away. Everyone was angry that the trial finished in a mistrial because the prosecutors were accused of hiding evidence. Everyone was. Back to square one. Jana Duty the day was later sent to jail for breaking a gag order and was also punished by the state Bar of Texas for bad work a few years. Later, she was found dead with a gunshot wound to the head. Cedar Park murder case will be heard again this week in a Williamson County courtroom. Crispin Harmel is being retried in the Crispin's second hearing began in the spring of 2018. It had been almost 10 years since Jessica died. County jury watched a 2009 suspect interrogation and a murder trial out of Cedar Park today. The jury watched the second interview Cedar Park police had with Harmel after. They say they found holes in his story Sans Lauren Kravitz has more. The primary concern after our investigation was moving forward was that many things were just not adding up for a third day. Sergeant Bond, who investigated Jessica Kaler's murder, testified he had a list of concerns after his first interview with Kristen Harmel. In a follow-up video interview, Harmel said Kaler drove them back to the shopping center near Walmart after they had consensual sex, but Bond said that didn't make sense. The seat itself was pushed all the way back on the rails, and her feet could not touch the gas and brakes. Harmel also said Kaler started up her car as he was walking back to his truck, but surveillance video never shows the lights turn on or Kaler's car leave. In fact, Kaler's car keys were not in the car and never found. Harmel also said Kaler lent him her debit card to get gas, but he threw it away once he saw police were looking for him. Generally speaking, when people either change something or get rid of something, it's because they don't want it to be located in or on their person, which means they want to disassociate with that particular item. And that was Lauren Kravitz reporting the defense. Started to cross-examine Sergeant Bond late this afternoon. One of the things that they argued was that neither Harmel nor Kaler would have looked for each other inside Walmart because the plan was to meet at her car. Prosecutors argued that neither of them were looking for each other at the time that Harmel said they were supposed to meet. In other news tonight, a jury found a man guilty of killing a woman in Cedar Park. In 2009, Crispin Harmel is convicted of kidnapping, raping, and strangling her. The judge sentenced Harmel to life in prison without the possibility of parole. The jurors did a good job this time and found Kristen Harmel guilty of capital murder since the government did not want to seek the death punishment. He was given a life sentence without the chance of parole. He tried to overturn his conviction in 2020, but it was upheld. He is still in jail, serving the same term. Jessica had a great time with her friends that night when she got back to her car in the morning. She was eager to go home, feed her dogs, and start work. Reaching distance was what her master's degree was in, and she had a lot ready for her. John, Jessica's cousin, said he really hoped that being found and locked up would make people feel better, but it didn't because it didn't change anything. She doesn't get to live, but he does. He said that her dad said that day a lot was taken away. He took away my chance to walk her down the aisle. I know she would have made a great mother. I really miss her. Melanie says that every day is different when she loses someone, but because of what she saw in the parking lot, good memories are often taken away. It will never feel like a whole day. Again, something will always be missing. Thank you for watching. If this story resonated with you, please give the video a like, subscribe for more true crime content, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss an update. Until next time, stay safe and take care.